living essences of nature itself.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
For the seeker. Broadcasting from an undisclosed location somewhere in the deep and mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. Live from Forest Tower Studios. Brought to you by the Fringe FM and KTOK Digital Broadcasting. This is Lighting the Void. And now, your host, Joe Rupe.
That's right. All the way from Forest Tower Studios in the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Rupe, and this is Lighting the Void. It is Wednesday, May the 9th. The night is really wonderful out here. It's stellar. I love that word, stellar. The weather is perfect in the natural state as the moon wanes on in midnight. Fire up your chakras, sync both hemispheres of your brain together, and shoot your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight with us as we peer into the void between spirituality and science. Thank you for joining us wherever you're listening from across the World Wide Web. Internet radio has been officially here for a long time, and it's so much fun doing this with you guys. I love it. Thank you so much for listening. We are live on lightingthevoid.com, KTOK Digital Broadcasting, thefringe.fm. Almost forgot to hit the record button. Fringe.fm, TalkStream Live. If you lose your internet for any reason whatsoever, you have that listen line. Always keep that handy, because I see some of you guys, your internet goes down or it gets shaky. So that number is 701-719-3971. Save that to your phone and call it the TalkStream Live Fringe line, or however you want to name it. But this show is live all over the place. The podcast archives are all over the place as well. Tonight we're going to be speaking with author, minister, visionary, and lecturer and founder of the ECETI Institute, ECETI Ranch, James Gilliland. I can't wait to pick this man's mind and discuss some of our favorite topics with him on this show. This is going to be an incredible night. Don't forget, Saturday, I'm going to be over with the Spaced Out Radio crew. Again, my favorite people to hang out with on a Saturday night. And we're going to be speaking with Stephen Bassett, and that comes on at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. A little bit longer show, a little bit longer format, and we're going to be discussing UFO disclosure with him, amongst some other things. So he's kind of really in the know about this stuff, and I look forward to that show as well. And next week, we're going to be speaking to a man that I've been wanting to speak to for a long time, just like James Gilliland, is Freddie Silva. And I heard Freddie Silva on Ryan Gable's show. I think it was like 2 months ago. Maybe it was even 3 months ago. And they were talking about the Knights Templar and all kinds of cool stuff. So, Tessa finally got a hold of him. He finally emailed us back and said he was going to come on. So that's going to be really cool. And by the way, if you guys have a guest or recommendations for the show, you can email me at producer@thefringe.fm. You can also email Tessa, and she does all of the booking at info@thefringe.fm. So Tessa, that's probably the fastest way to get that done, because she's part of the team. And speaking of which, I want to thank my team, the Fringe FM team. I want to thank Tessa for helping out so much. She's like, I don't know what Dave Scott and I would do without her. I really don't. So I want to give Tessa a thank you. And Everett Thiemer, the guy that's always smacking me around, telling me, don't do that or do this, my business consultant. I want to thank you guys for that as well. I don't give you guys enough shout-outs. By the way, I don't know if it is your birthday or not. I asked Genevieve, if you're in the Spreaker chat, by the way, come hang out with us in the Spreaker chat. Jim, the guy that emailed me, we'd love to have you in here, man, if you can. About not, coming in chat. But Genevieve, if it's your birthday, and I can never tell if it is, because sometimes everybody's birthdays, I feel like the guys are giving birthday shout-outs. But, if it is your birthday, happy birthday. If I've missed anybody's birthday, I'm sorry. And I don't like that. I think birthdays are special because it's the one day that we get to think about you because you are important. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday. So James Gilliland's going to be on with us tonight. And, I told you guys that I thought I saw a UFO the other night. Now, I've been on James's YouTube channel for the past 2 or 3 weeks, ever since he was on John Polk's show, watching some of these UFO videos and comparing these videos with other ones. And to me, it's the real deal. And I don't know if all of you guys have heard James Gilliland's story about his near-death experiences and all of the realms he went through, but I will say that there are certain people, when you hear them speak, you're getting the truth, at least from that person, right? And let's throw science out the window, right? Because everybody wants scientific proof. I do too. I like that stuff as well. But this show is also about spirituality, and it's also about using your inner voice, listening to your soul. I mean, Ronnie McMullen, the guy that runs Ancient Life Oil and Life Change Tea, used to tell me that all the time. He's told me that like 4 times. Hey, Joe, if you don't know, listen to your soul, right? And so I think James Gilliland is one of those people that is really pushing this movement forward, and he's been hard at work at it for a long time. So hats off to the guy. It's a really busy time of year for him. Everything's about to kick up for him, and he's taking the time out to come on this show and talk to us. And so it's going to be really cool. Contact in the Desert is coming up. I think he's going to be there as well. I can't go, but if you guys go, let me know. I want to know about all of you guys that go. I'm sure Cortana and Gigi's going from Shift Happens, but I really do want to know about your experience if you get to go. And I'm extremely jealous because this is an event I've been wanting to go to. I really think I'm going to get to go next year, though. I mean, it would take a miracle for me to go this year. It really would. So, yeah, tomorrow, Saturday night, I'll be speaking to Stephen Bassett. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. By the end of the week, we're going to have a session coming out for you guys, and I'm trying to actually make a separate room for that. And that is, let me tell you what that's going to be. So that's going to be a thing where it's going to be uncut. It's going to be raw. You're going to get not only like after show exclusive and stuff with some of the guests that we've had, but you're going to get a lot of things from me, certain things that I don't talk about on the air that I'm going to talk about off air, a little bit more intimate type stuff. Not that I'm going to leave that out and never talk to you guys about it. Obviously, I would never do that. But just some of the things that are on my mind lately, some of my ideas, and I'm trying to figure out a way how I can get it to where right now I'm trying to figure out a way how I can get it to where when we do this, that we can all do it together instead of you just getting a recording or something. And I'm almost got that figured out. And I also want to say thank you to all of you who have donated to the show. We can really use your help if you find anything of value from Lighting the Void of the Fringe FM right now. I mean, we're in the process of building all this still. It's not, I think it's a year old now. We've got so much new stuff coming. We're almost there. And I think if it wasn't for all of you guys that keep donating, whether it's $1, $5, $30, 100, I think the largest one I got was 500, but that doesn't matter. Anything you guys can help with. If you can't help, just like Nathan, he told me, man, I can't help. I understand. If you asked me for $1, I wouldn't be able to because I'm asking you for it, right? So I get it. But you know what? He goes out and he talks to me and he shares stuff and he keeps me going. And that's just as cool to me if you can do that. And at the very least, thank you for spending your time with me. At the call-in number, when we open up the phones, if you want to call in and ask James a question, I always forget to open the phones up, but that number is 501-777-5631. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe. Everything is Lighting the Void or Joe Rupe. You could probably just Google it. There's like 3 Joe Rupes out there. One's got a Marine hat on or something, but, you'll be able to figure out which one I am. And I want to say thank you to to you guys that have donated. Like, I feel like I got to say thank you, because you don't have a clue what that does for me and what it does for us here at the Fringe FM. Also, some new supporters on social media, and I'm going to officially say that On Stellar is social media. I'm going to go ahead and say that because I really think this thing is going to make it. They dished out tokens today to everybody. I was surprised because I don't even think I've put any money in my Ethereum wallet or anything like that, but I think everybody got a few tokens today, and it's really cool. I think you guys should really check it out. Go over there, write articles, put up as much content as you can, express how you feel, and you'll be surprised at some of the people that'll just start upvoting your content. So some of those new supporters I want to thank are Doug Anderson, David Paul, Nicole Frolic, Tanya Trusdick, Catalina's on there calling herself Catalina Mermaids. That's cool. Love you, Cat. Mark Tirana, James Tracy, Susan Ledger, Mary Taylor, Scotty Myers, the Truth Seeker podcast, Truth Seeker, Christina Hope Justice, Jordan McAvoy, Neo Wizard, you crazy animal, Gary Brim, Nicole Gautier, Sammy Gillespie. Thank you, and I hope I'm saying your name wrong. Gillespie. I'm probably saying it wrong, but thank you for the lovely call last night. What a wonderful person you are. Joseph Mitchell, Brett Stewart, Jason Clark, Wayne Seaman, and Carolyn Keys, Julie Ali, and of course, Jason Quit. And speaking of which, if you're listening, I want to tell you right now, whoever you are, if your name's John Teeter or whatever your name is, like hitting my YouTube comments and stuff, trying to knock Jason Quit down isn't going to help you much because I'm just going to delete him. I mean, I know you're on a mission to take the guy out, but you're not going to do it on my channel or anywhere else. So we've all looked at that, man. I think it's time to move on from that, and let's all move on with our lives, right? So, yeah, so make sure you get that newsletter, and I'm starting the hashtag LTV radio. So we can do that. And I'm really going to try to use Twitter more, even though I'm not a big Twitter guy. I'm going to try. But I also want to mention that last night I've got a few emails and messages about some people were disappointed in the rant I did or whatever. Look, the person that I was talking about, one person last night, one, maybe two. Yeah, but one mainly. And you have to understand that I respect that person, and that it was more of an apology for my actions because I've never done this before. I've never hosted and produced all this stuff and ran a network. And I'm telling you, as much as people help me without, I really do all of it myself, and without you guys' donations and your support, it wouldn't happen. And it's like there are very few times when I get to breathe. I've even been to the doctor, and I was very freaked out at the doctor the other day because usually when I go to the doctor, it's just a normal checkup type thing. But this time I'm getting looks of concern. I'm getting stethoscopes and telling me to breathe in and breathe out, and he's checking my heart and stuff like that. So my lifestyle that I've done here is I've got to get back spiritually aligned with what I'm trying to do here, is what I'm saying. And I have to draw some lines in the sand. That's all. I know you guys wanted the drama and all that stuff, but no, I'm not that big of a drama guy. And only my best friends have heard me get really angry. Dave Cruz is in the chat room. He can tell you. He's been there when I've gotten real angry before. I'd never do it on the air. I'd probably just mute the mic and start throwing stuff. Anyways, in some news, some really cool stuff I want to talk about in the news real quick. In Saliva, now this came from off the desk of Jeff Gilson. In Saliva, there are actually clues to a ghost, quote, ghost species of ancient human. And these scientists have found that like a ghost species, in other words, they don't know what species it is or where it came from, of archaic humans may have actually contributed genetic material to ancestors of people living in sub-Saharan Africa today. So here we go, right? Science is starting to find out that there's genes that, the research is adding to like a growing body of all this evidence and the guests that we've had on that there was maybe some sexual rendezvous between different species that, and it wasn't really unusual, and they just don't know what did it, but they can trace it now. Their studies have concluded that the forebears of modern humans in Asia and Europe interbred with other early hominin species, including Neanderthals and Denisovans. So the new research is among more recent genetic analysis indicating that ancient Africans also, had interbred with early hominins. So they're saying a ghost species, according to what I'm reading, is that they're seeing this strand in our genetics that they're not really sure where it's coming from. And it's a protein called MUC7 that is found in our saliva. Not saliva, but our saliva. I thought saliva was a place, but in our saliva, right? And when they look at the history of the gene that codes for that protein, they see signatures of an archaic mixture of races that they don't know where it's coming from. So that's pretty interesting to me. How could I get saliva confused with saliva? That's my Arkansas education. Also, a little bit, another thing, too, that's kind of scary. I don't like to get into politics much, but this is kind of concerning me, and I don't know what to think about it, because I've actually experienced both sides of this. Now, Trump and everybody has actually, I know that they've pushed for this kind of stuff, and I always thought they were just talking just to get votes. Honestly, I really did. I thought they were just mouthing to get votes, but they said, I think it was Monday, that they're going to pursue criminal charges against every person that's trying to jump the border. Like, they're putting serious teeth behind their goal of stiffening this thing, and they're saying that it's going to be like a federal offense for anybody that does it, parents or anyone that brings their children, or even people that are, I guess, harboring. I don't know. Like, if you know about it and you don't say anything, you can get punished too. And this guy, Thomas Homan, said our goal is to have the whole world know that this border is not open. Don't come unlawfully. I got a question for you guys. I don't want to get all, red eye radio on you or anything like that. And I just, this stuff bothers me, man. I think our country was built on open arms. And I know that there's paperwork and all kinds of stupid crap that we got to go through. But I'm with Graham Hancock on this. I don't see, it's kind of a catch-22, because nobody wants a world, we don't want a, what do you call it, a new world order. We don't. But these borders, in other words, what I'm saying is I don't identify as a white man, Arkansan, and American. I don't care about any of that. I don't identify with the borders on my country. Although I love this place, I know that there's other places that don't have it as good, but I don't identify myself that way. And I think it's stupid. And it's an economic thing, which I've actually been on the other side of this, where I lost in my business when my son was first born. I had a painting business when the housing boom was going off, and I made good money, and my family was taken care of. And when that bubble popped and the economy started crashing, there were a lot of different contractors that would hire labor that was cheaper that cut me completely out. And I was angry. But at the end of the day, we all got families, we all got kids, and we all got to do what we got to do. That's just it. We're all doing what we have to do. Each and every one of us are doing the best we can that I've experienced. I hear people talking about all these beggars and people getting handouts and stuff, and for the most part, everybody I meet is doing what they have to do to survive. Everybody. And we all do it a little different. There's different cultures. So I'm kind of ashamed of the president for this a little bit. Just a little bit. I don't think we should be cracking down on this stuff. That's all I'm saying. I think we should be a little bit more open. Anyways, on to the space stuff. The new NASA chief sees moon missions building a railroad to Mars. I don't know how realistic this is, but the new guy, the new NASA administrator, Jim Bridenstine, I guess his name is, defended the new agency directive to go to the moon first before going to Mars. That's a little obvious, I would think. But he did a webcast speech at the Human to Mars Summit in Washington, D.C., and he did it today. And he didn't disclose any new initiatives by NASA to send humans to Mars. But he's a former Republican congressman from Oklahoma, I think in the 1st District. He was sworn in as administrator of NASA 3 weeks ago. And he went 15, so because I know NASA went like 15 months without a permanent leader, while the agency was under interim leadership. See, this is some more weird stuff that's going on, I'm telling you. The Trump's got his hand in this. The Trump administration, they tasked NASA with taking humans back to the moon before going to Mars. So they got this big space agenda thing going on. But anyways, I just want you to check that out. Let's keep an eye on that because we've been talking about that for a while. I had some other stuff to talk about, but we've kind of run over here. So we're going to go into break. When we come back, we're going to bring on James Gilliland. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Pull back the blinds and uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap, but did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells. And that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio with Joseph Rupe. Stay up to date right now. lightingthevoid.com.
This is Mark Eddy. If Pluto is your high school history teacher, Project Compass will point you in the direction of the truth.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Irma, forget it, he's rolling.
Each Monday night from 10 to midnight Eastern, we will bring enthralling guests to delve into the hidden history you weren't taught.
This could be the greatest night of our lives.
Join us on the Fringe.fm or in the Spreaker chat.
Oh, we're afraid to go with you, Pluto. We might get in trouble.
Follow us on Twitter at Project Compass or email us at projectcompass.show@gmail.com.
I think this situation absolutely requires really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it.
Classes in session with Project Compass right here on the Fringe FM.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on The Fringe FM. Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
Come own the night with us. Hi there, this is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every Monday through Friday, right here on KTLK, The Fringe FM, I'm going to lead you down a path of mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So whether you've seen a UFO, had a run-in with Bigfoot or Dogman, or had ghosts running around your house, this is the place to be. Spaced Out Radio, right here on KTLK.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Rupe. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rupe. Thank you for joining us. Let's bring on our guest, James Gilliland. Now, James Gilliland is a minister, counselor, and internationally known lecturer, best-selling author. Some of the books are Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods, and The Ultimate Soul Journey. Now, James has appeared and Contact Has Begun, His Story, The History Channel, UFOs Then and Now, UFO Hotspots, ABC, Fox News, BBC, The Danny Dyer Special, Paranormal State, ECETI Ranch, a documentary, and the new movie Thrive have all featured James and ECETI, which he is the founder. He's also appeared on Coast to Coast, Jeff Rentz, and a number of radio shows. He was on Midnight in the Desert last night, which, if you're a time traveler, that's a really cool show. You want to go check that out. He's also hosts his own show, As You Wish Talk Radio, which airs on BBS Radio. That's bbsradio.com. He is a facilitator of many Eastern disciplines, a visionary dedicated to the awakening and healing of humanity and the earth, and teaches higher dimensional realities from experience. So, in my opinion, when it comes to real leaders in the awakening movement, James has been on the forefront of awareness and spiritual enlightenment for some time now, and his teachings and experiences at the ECETI Ranch have changed many lives to this day. Now, the website is ECETI.org, and they're actually updating it right now. If you want to check that out. But James, thank you for taking time out to come on Lighting the Void. It's an honor to have you on here, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. When you were on John Polk's show, and I was just inspired because I was, behind the scenes kind of producing it and listening the whole time. And then I listened to your show last night with Dave Schrader. And I got to be honest with you, for the past few weeks, I've been on your YouTube channel just watching all of these amazing videos, and just you can hear people's life. It's really cool because you can hear people like they're having their first experience with this, like it's really blowing their hair back, and I want that. I want to have that experience, and so many stories have come from that ranch that say that's changed their lives. And are you used to that now, or does it still shock you and awe you to this day?
Yeah, I've been doing it for over 30 years, so it's
you're used to it, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much used to it. But it's even when the ships, I love seeing the ships, and I love to see people, their reaction to it when they come in, and it's life changing. When you realize that this is real, that these ships are real, it like cracks the door, and once you crack the door, they always go through it, and I've seen that again and again. And what's more important, it's great to see the ships and everything else, but then they start asking, well, who's on the ships, and they start asking questions about, our ancient history and everything else, and it's all tied together.
Now, when Clyde Lewis went up there, did he get, I've never heard that show, or him, I know he's talked about it, but did he get to see any ships when he was there?
Oh yeah, he saw so many ships. He brought up an engineer and another guy, and they had all the, J Tracker and Heavens Above open, and they said, we're going to check this out, and if it's not real, we'll, basically they're going to debunk it. And so,
right.
All you heard from these guys at the table going, it's not a satellite, not a satellite, not, over and over and over again. And then, after about 20 or 30, they go, well, that one's a satellite, so, satellites are so obvious. They just cruise, and they cruise at the same speed, and most of them are pretty slow as they go across the horizon. And, there's no comparison to what, the other ships are doing, because they're, usually twice as big, twice as fast, making turns, powering up, responding to the people on the ground. And, there's just no comparison to a satellite.
What's the closest you've ever been to a ship, you think?
On one, basically.
Right.
Face to face. Yeah.
Okay. See, I knew that part, but I was just meaning like with a group out there, the closest you think ones came to you guys.
Boy, well, one came through probably 30 feet away.
Wow. Yeah, I remember I was watching that video on YouTube about the one that just looked like it sat on the mountain. Like it was, I don't know what it was doing, but it looked like it was just landed on the mountain over there. It's just incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And here on this, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, John Vivanco, he's a remote viewer, and he actually is going to be here on the 17th doing a workshop. But he remote viewed the video you're talking about. And what was really interesting, he said, this is really weird. He said there was multiple things going on there. It wasn't just one thing. He said there was multiple things happening up there, multiple ships. And he looked at the different beings on the ships. And then he asked me, he says, what's really weird is his group, they were drawing these cat, heads, like feline beings, and he didn't know why, he says, this doesn't make any sense, kind of in a way. And we were talking about it, and I said, well, they are some of them are feline. There are feline beings that are, much like the movie Avatar. They do exist. They don't look like the movie, like they are in the movie. They look very similar, but they have fur very close to them, and they have a long documented history. If you go into the ancient India, they talk about them as Narissa and Narshringa, the Pashat. They have different names for them, and over in Egypt, you've got Sekhmet, the protectors of the gods and things like that. So there's a long history of them. And they are, our ancestors, and they've interacted with us in the past, and now they're basically returning. But that's just one group that's up there.
In our social world today, we're finding out now, especially even through science, through, this quantum entanglement thing they're finding out about now, how everything is really, and this article is still on the top of newspapers. It's been out for like 3 weeks, how everything is really just one being. It doesn't matter how far apart the particles are or whatever, they're all interrelated. And, Einstein was trying to tell people that. And I think, I just think it's amazing now that science, they're still kind of skeptical. They still, do their thing, but they're starting to show us that the mysticism and magic of all these old teachings are actually a real thing, Yeah,
definitely. That's the thing about physics or science, all of that stuff. It ends up going back to some divine intelligence, whatever you want to call it, some creative intelligence. And, something designed all this. And you look at the life here on Earth, there's no possible way, both human and plant and animal life, that this could have just evolved naturally. There was extreme intervention, and, the Earth was colonized and terraformed on several occasions. So, there's at least 12 major star nations involved in terraforming the Earth, and others came later. So, it's you look at that, and I think some guy challenged me the other day and said, well, the genome experiment proved that there is no alien DNA and things like that. And I just said, well, I beg to differ with you, because I know people that actually, my cousin actually was doing the genome experiment. He was part of it. And he said that there was no doubt about it, there's alien DNA. So, I also work with biophysicists. Like one guy has like 9 PhDs, and, he talks about it. And he said, it's obvious. It's obvious we've been we've been intermingled with all kinds of DNA from off-worlders.
Right. They're finding, I was just talking about that before you came on, the proteins they're finding about some ghost species. They don't know what it is, but they know there was some interbreeding going on. I'm thinking now you're just now finding that out, right? But
yeah,
it's good to hear though. And, but I am always fascinated with tying spirituality together with science, but I've listened to some of your lectures online and they are kind of captivating and they're very practical. But in your opinion, a lot of people think that we're all ascended and we're at these higher states. And sometimes I wonder, where do you think we are spiritually as a society today?
Well, we're going through a major shift right now. And, some people are doing pretty well with it and some people are not doing so well with it. And I'm seeing now with the energies coming in, the best way to explain it is we're moving to a highly energized place in space. And that's creating, major changes on the Earth. And the sun is reacting to that as well. And that's the origin of global warming. It's not, the SUVs and things like that. If that was the case, all the planets wouldn't be undergoing, these atmospheric changes, which they are. So it's a much bigger picture that's going on. And now we're going into the solar minimum or the Munder minimum, they call it. The Earth is reacting to that. And we're having, look at Kilauea and what's happening there. And I think there's 17 volcanoes going off right now as we speak. Mm-hmm. And, 570 earthquakes a day. It's just crazy. The whole Earth is moving, it's expanding, and that's part of that process. When you take all this energy and it's got to go somewhere, so it comes in through the poles and it's got to be released somehow. So, it's released through earthquakes and volcanic activity, and it also creates severe weather and things of that nature. So, we're definitely going through climate change. We're going through Earth changes.
That's for sure. They put some freaky pictures out a few days ago. Holes in the poles, like deep holes they've never seen before, right at the caps,
yeah.
And that's some freaky stuff. Those holes aren't, they usually see them on the outskirts, but not that far in the middle. And, so you're definitely right about that.
Yeah. I haven't seen those pictures, but it sounds like that probably might be the effect, of these other energies coming in. But it also creates, these energies are also creating a lot of social economic changes as well. And we're also, as we ascend, you might say, or raise in frequency or vibration, it means you've got to let go of all the lower vibrational, consciousness and energy and things of that nature. Even the structures have to transform. And so the old programs are having to either transform or they're just going to basically collapse, or fall apart. And we're right in the middle of that right now. We're seeing incredible, on the political level, I think 57% of the House of Representatives, have either resigned or they're not seeking re-election. That's a major change. And, all these networks are being opened up, the pedophile network, all the other stuff is coming out. All that stuff is being exposed, and just the deep corruption, is all coming up to the surface. So it's happening on every level. We're going to go through incredible, economic changes as well coming up here real soon. It's for the better, basically.
Like necessary type birth pains, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all tied together, and we're also getting ready to reunite with, the greater family of man, which are all these different groups that have actually interacted, they interacted with us in the past, and they're our ancient ancestors, and they're the ones that built these massive structures, pyramids and things of that nature. So this big reunion's happening as we speak. Now, it's not going to happen with the masses. It's going to happen with those who rose to the occasion first, and it's just going to grow exponentially as people are ready. They're going to have contacts and they're going to have experiences, with off-worlders and multidimensional beings.
That's incredible. I'm kind of want that to happen, but I'm a little nervous about it. But I think you're right. You know, I just hope that we as a society, especially with this disclosure type stuff happening and more and more UFO sightings every day, I really hope that we need to learn from our mistakes. Like I've been hearing that, and I don't know how true it is, but I've been hearing that they're going to, fire up the economy again and start loaning houses to people that can't afford it. And I'm thinking, when are we going to start learning from our own experiences? I mean, that's our biggest truth, our own experiences. There's no higher truth than that as far as what we can base our reality off of.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens here when people have their own experience. Nobody can take it away from. That's actually Danny Dyer's words when he was up here. He said, I did it. I saw the ships, and he said, nobody can take that away from me. And he was talking about the skeptics and the naysayers and things like that. It's kind of interesting, but the bottom line is that right now we need an extreme injection of impeccable integrity and critical thinking and discernment, because we're just getting bombarded by so much misinformation and nonsense. It's overwhelming. It's time to. I always tell people it's time to throw your TV set out the door,
right?
Out the window. But there are some good shows that do make you think, and things of that nature. But what I'm seeing on the news, the mainstream news and the stuff they're spewing out, and it's just a bunch of lies and deceptions, and to keep people off centered. They try to keep you fired up and angry and in the lower frequencies. That's their whole job, is to keep you in fear and keep you in judgment and keep you in the lower frequencies.
Well, somebody that deals with skeptics on a constant basis, like you, or even Travis Walton, someone like you that deals with them on a constant basis, how do you get through to them other than just, showing them the ships? Obviously, that's going to change their life.
Oh, yeah.
But is there any other way that we can have an experience that would let us know,
Well, it's like I can kind of hit it at every angle. I can go through the physics side of it, or I can go through, the historical side of it, and even the religious side of it. Although when I touch on that, people get a little edgy, when
I think it's amazing, though. I heard you speaking about Mother Mary the other night, and, you didn't really go into it. And I was like, oh, I wish you would. I really wish you would sometimes, because I'm fascinated by that stuff. I don't think we know the truth about all those characters.
No, they're finding ancient scrolls right now that were, in his own words, Jesus is saying, out of all of his disciples, Mary was the most qualified, Mary Magdalene, to continue in his teachings. And instead, they demonized her and tried to turn her into a whore and things like that. But she was actually part of the royal family, and she went through the Egyptian mystery schools, and she was extremely adept, and very, very wise and beautiful dancer. And it's like for them to demonize that is ridiculous. But, it was a takeover of the male side, the patriarchal side, and they wanted to, just take over the church and the power and whatever. But, when you actually connect with these beings like I did, I was dying at 5 years old, and that's when she came to me. I was in the hospital, and we weren't Catholic. We weren't religious at all. And and I'm still not Catholic. I don't belong to any religion.
Right.
But I just don't believe in separating into anything. Basically my religion is that, there's the one source, and we all came from that source, and we all go back to that source, and what we do in between is our own business, But
sure,
I just keep it simple. Be kind to each other. Be kind to the planet. We don't need to create, a big structure, a big intellectual mindset around that. Just start being kind to each other.
Yeah, love is a funny thing. We throw it around in words, but I don't think we use it enough.
Yeah, it's the cosmic glue that holds everything together, and the life force, basically. And that's what some ETs are having a really hard time with, because they actually, they genetically altered themselves to the point where they don't have any emotions, and they really screwed up, because that's the life force. That's what sustains life, and by doing that, they're very brilliant. They have brilliant minds and brilliant intellects, but they're stuck. And they can't go past the fourth dimension, they can't evolve anymore. They're just, all they can do is manipulate matter, and that's about it.
So you're saying these ETs, they've tried to make themselves into like super physical beings, but not very good spiritual beings.
Well, what happened is they were just in pursuit of knowledge. They just wanted knowledge, and they felt knowledge was power, and knowledge could override everything. But in doing so, they're not in physical good shape, because what happened is when they bred emotions out of their bodies became weak and spindly, and they ended up with these big heads, huge heads, but their bodies can barely hold their heads up. So they screwed up big time on that one.
Well, at least we're proportionate. And by the way, I'm curious to what, as far as species goes, and I mean spiritually, intellectually, and physically, are we humans? Where are we on the chain? Are we at the top, or are we still lower beings as far as the universe goes, you think?
Well, we have the potential to be at the top, because we have the genes of the gods, basically. And so the Anunnaki, people call them they're the ancient ones that came here a long time ago. And Anunnaki just means those who came from heaven to earth, basically. But when they were here, they started tinkering with the Denisovian man over in Australia, and that was the first genetic, tinkering, and so they kept upgrading that species, and then as it continued to evolve, a funny thing happened, because the Earth human genetics combined with their genetics created a being that actually started surpassing some of them.
Wow!
So we have the potential there, because what happens is when you become so powerful like that, a lot of times you start losing your connection, because you think you're the connection, and they're no longer subjective to the higher consciousness and energy. And so when the human form was in total service mode and love and adoration, that was the pipeline, you might say, for source. And so they actually evolved. They started evolving beyond, the Anunnaki. And it became, a major problem, in the end. There was a lot of fighting about it. And, the Anunnaki were having their turf wars and their, problems. And they even had nuclear wars. The Gobi Desert's part of that. There's a giant sheet of glass there is a byproduct of some of those wars. But, that it's in all the ancient scriptures and the Hindu teachings and the Vedic, the Vedas. They talk about these ancient wars.
Do you think there's a cover-up happening, though? I mean, when my cousin was in the military, when they first went to Iraq, they would have these playing cards, and these playing cards would show the leaders of these terrorist leaders and stuff. But towards the end of the campaign, they got these other cards that showed artifacts or symbols, and they were told if anybody saw anything like this to report it. And it's almost like something's going on to cover up all the real history of everything. And sure, power would be an agenda to do that, but I just don't see why it's that important. I think it's more important to find out,
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't heard about that, the playing cards. That's pretty interesting. But, it's, almost everything now is being exposed, ISIS, we're finding out we created ISIS, and Al-Qaeda and everything else was funded by the CIA, things like that. That's all coming out. It's becoming common knowledge. And, all that nonsense going on there always had hidden agendas behind it. And it was either tied into the, perpetuation of the petrodollar or a place where there's artifacts that they wanted or things like, there's so many hidden agendas going on. It's hard to keep track, even just down to cashing in, on the wars, so. It's a big mess, and I think that's all going to get sorted out here pretty soon.
Do you think it's because some forces don't want us knowing, or I guess we can say cabal or whatever certain people call them, they don't want us to know our own powers maybe, or our own capabilities?
Yeah, exactly. It's knowledge is power, and they don't want us to have that knowledge, and they want to keep us enslaved through dependency. And they want to keep us dependent on them for everything. And the thing is when you gain this knowledge, you have access to free energy and anti-gravity and counter-gravity and cures, for most diseases and everything else, and you're no longer dependent. So, all of these new technologies and the healing technologies and everything would create, a very empowered, independent nation. And so that's the last thing they want to see.
And I'm kind of curious too. About our, I guess you could say, the economics. Like, to me, paper money, and even I would even say cryptocurrency. To me, it just doesn't. It seems barbaric, and I know I've gotten laughed at for saying that, but I'm like, come on! If you think about a futuristic, enlightened society, there's got to be a better way. I'm sure the ETs have figured it out, how to sustain a society and still produce and, live comfortably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll tell you what the Palladians do at a very young age. They take their kids and they put them on, they have these beam ships or light ships, and they take them on and they power them up. And it's like having a near-death experience, because you actually become a light, you become a light being when they travel. And so they power them up and they take them, connect them in. And once that happens, it's, you're in unity consciousness. You've been initiated into what they call unity consciousness. And then when they come back, they know what that individual's soul, what his unique purpose is and things like that. They're very spiritually gifted that way. And so they give them everything they need to excel and reach their highest potential. And because they're connected to the unity consciousness, they give back to the whole. And because of that, they took a quantum leap in evolution, and now they want for nothing. They don't have currency. They don't need currency. Whatever they need, they've got replicators and things like that. They can just create whatever they want.
You were talking earlier about how the ETs became too intellectual because they thirst for knowledge, and I see that in our society we're doing this type of transhumanism, type of let's do whatever we can to live forever, and we even have scientists that are trying to inject things in their mind, and I think sometimes that it feels kind of evil to me, to be honest with you, to try to hold on to physicality instead of letting this cycle do what it's supposed to do, life and death and resurrection, and then trying to stop it. It just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, there's it's, they're going the way of the Greys, and that's what the Greys did, and they really screwed up, and they think that hooking themselves into the internet and have access to all this knowledge and everything is a great thing, but it's a trade-off, because the more you give up your humanness and your biologicalness, you might say, the less the you can't go anywhere after that. You get trapped. You can't ascend. You can't, because this body's designed to actually raise in frequency and ascend. It has that potential to do that. But once you become attached, once you attach all this hardware to it, you're stuck. You can't take the hardware with you, and
right.
It actually becomes a trap.
What about what is your opinion on magic? And when I say that, I mean the occult is a big topic now. It's not something we can get away from, and it's I'm not trying to get away from it, but I find that there's a lot of good things in there, but also find that there's some things in there that quite scare the hell out of me. And we're all just kind of tinkering with it now. We've got people doing chaos magic. Some people saying there's nothing, no dangers to it. And yet I've always been this big believer in cause and effect, that everything has a consequence, so I'm just kind of curious about your opinion about those things.
Well, the old saying is that the mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. And there's a lot of people trying to do the something for nothing thing. And there is a price usually. So, you can actually work with what they call jinns. They're, more like a genie basically, but the original term is jinns. And you can attract those kinds of beings, but there's a huge price to pay. When you do that, good luck getting rid of them once you hook into their energy. And you might be able to pull gems from the sky and things like that. There are people that can do that, but they lose. You lose a part of your soul in a way when you do that. You have to keep it clean. Is what I see. But there's if you go to Bali or some of these other places, they have people that teach white magic, and that's positive and healing and beneficial. And then they have the black magic, which is not so good, Mm-hmm. And they teach you both because they said you need to know the black magic. So when if you're going to help your friends and family or whatever, if somebody's using black magic, you need to know what it is and how to shift it or clear it or heal it. And so they teach you both sides, on the black magic. But when you start doing black magic, you start conjuring up entities that are not in your highest and best good. And once you make a contract or an agreement with them, it's hard to break. It's hard to get them out of your space. I know quite a few people that all they cared about was fame and notoriety and power and wealth and things of that nature. And so they basically, little by little, they sold their souls until you didn't even know who they were anymore. You didn't even, they got into the spiritual ego, and from that step they became narcissistic, and then it just kept going to where you don't even know these people anymore.
It does seem like kind of a possession, doesn't it?
It basically is.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky. Actually, I know exactly what you're talking about. We're gonna go ahead and take our halfway point break here. When we come back, I want to talk to you, James, about how we can, move into higher states of being for real, and what to watch out for. I also want to talk a little bit about orbs as well, and hoping that we can take some of your questions too. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with James Gilliland.
This is Preston Dennett from PrestonDennett.weebly.com, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. There's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy. Bugs. I hate bugs. Our home is clean, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. The ingredients in Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list, so Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com and Ace
folks.
Hardware.
Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthet.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthet.com. That's getthet.com. Again, getthet.com.
At the Fringe FM, we value your opinion and we want to hear from you. Love a program? Got a future guest or show idea? Let us know. Email us at talkback@thefringe.fm or leave us your thought by calling 501-777-5631 or message our Facebook page at The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on the Fringe FM. Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Rupe. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rupe. We are live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, thefringe.fm. Don't forget, this Saturday I will be over at Spaced Out Radio. Spaced Out Saturday, we'll be speaking with Stephen Bassett. And then next week, Tuesday, we're going to have Freddie Silva on the show. It's been a great lineup all month. And we're here with James Gilliland, founder of the ECETI Ranch, author, visionary, and minister. And it's really cool to speak to you about this stuff. I wanted to ask you a question because you don't hear this a lot in, you don't hear it a lot at all in this field. You don't mind talking about politics in this field, and you have stated a few times that, you know, Trump is not a perfect man, but he is the man for the job right now. And I've heard you talk about that, a few rants online, and I think, you know, Trump's not my favorite guy either. But he has shaken some stuff up a little bit, and maybe it's just another birth pain we got to go through.
Yeah, I think the whole thing's entertaining, to be honest with you. It's you know, watching everybody, you know, flip out and just the dynamics going on, and it's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, you know, I don't believe in the separation game, you know, because you've got, you know, the right wing and the left wing are still the same bird, basically, and until you know, weed out, you know, all the corruption and everything else, it's going to be, you know, the same thing. But you know, a lot of people don't realize that Trump was actually, you know, installed basically by the military. He had the military behind him, and the white hats and the people that are really, they got just fed up with how dark and corrupt and how much treason was going on and how much we've been sold out, you know, sold down the river. So they put him in there, and all these collusion charges, everything else, it's a nothing burger. There's nothing there. There hasn't been anything there, and they finally, you look at how much time they've wasted, with this nonsense, and then they just come up with another charge and another charge, and really the people that are pointing fingers and screaming the loudest are the ones with the most to hide, because he is draining the swamp, and so. You watch the people. I see the people that scream the loudest, and you look at their, start looking in their history, and you'll find out how corrupt they are, and they're afraid. They're afraid of being exposed and taken down.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it all to come crashing down, to be honest with you. Do you think that and I talked about this earlier, a division amongst us, like we all have these lines, we all have these borders, and we all have different economies and different cultures. But I would think in a enlightened ET race, just thinking probabilities here, mathematically, that there's got to be a society out there where an entire planet doesn't separate themselves the way we do.
Oh, there's lots of them. I mean, there's lots of extremely spiritually and technologically advanced civilizations out there. And, Earth is like a big experiment. And so you've got all this genetic diversity down here, and you have people in different states of evolution. And, so one of the problems with that is some of the people that are a little more advanced a lot of times end up preying on the people that are lesser advanced and so, really the way out of that is that, you go back into the law of one, and it's our duty to help those less fortunate, to reach their highest potential versus taking advantage of them. So, we have to admit, there are people here with different IQs, different abilities, different, some people are just tapped in, and some people use that energy in a positive way, and some people use it to control and, manipulate it. And it's just like technology. Technology can be a beautiful thing if used properly, but it can also be, devastating and create a lot of harm and a lot of problems if used, improperly.
Agnome from the Spreaker chat wants to know, he says, James, what do you think of shamanism, about the role it plays in our society right now?
I've worked with elders from almost every nation, and I know a lot of them. We've done a lot of ceremony here with a lot of different, a lot of the Lakota have come up here, the Cherokee Nation has been here. We've done a lot of sweat lodges and a lot of other ceremonies, and, I love those ceremonies. My great-grandmother was Cherokee, actually, so we're Cherokee, Scotch-Irish, and well,
what a mix, right?
yeah. So the CIA would love to have me, but that's what they do. They grab people of that mix, and they like to use them because of their, psychic abilities, and try to corrupt them, unfortunately. But the going back to that, the old ways. Very powerful, and again, it's all about intention. And, there's shamans that are very angry and very wounded, and their intentions aren't very good. And there's shamans that are totally enlightened and do some great work and great things. And, unfortunately, a lot of people give away all their power just because, the Indian card, and they play it, they play that out, and that's kind of unfortunate. But, I just see everybody as equal, and where's your come from? What's your intention, and what's the purpose behind what you're doing, and things like that. And I think that's more important than anything.
Moving back to, I have a real question. I want to ask you this before I forget it. You're one of the only people I've heard that bring this up, and I don't, like to talk about religion too much, but when you said Jesus' name was really Yeshua ben Joseph, that's something I found out through my own studies, and, the whole story of Merlin and his father. I wonder if there was some type of secret lineage that went through that family,
Yeah, definitely. Jesus actually, Jesus is the proper sounding, but Jesus means son of Zeus, and the Greeks gave him that name, and that's where he got the name from, and so everybody kind of, used that name. But I tell you what's interesting, a lot of the demigods and the Merlins and all of those guys most of them were hybrids. And that's going to shock some people, but most of them had, a lot of them came because the Anunnaki end up mating with a pretty evolved Earth human as well. And, usually it's a beautiful woman, and they had what they call a demigod. And so they had the genetics of the gods as well as the genetics of human, they turned out to be some pretty awesome beings.
Are these like Cortana's asking, maybe, does this get into the whole star lineage thing where people are from certain star systems and stuff?
Yeah, part of it. It's, the main player right now are the Pleiadians. They actually started the Atlantis and Lemurian colonies, and they have more genetic stock here than anybody, and they're major terraformers. They've been at it for a long time. Their ancient ancestors are actually from Lyra. They're Lyrians, and the Lyrians actually went to the Pleiades, the Orion, and the Hades system, and from there they came to Earth, Mars, and Maldek or Malona. Everybody has a different name for the planet that exploded. That's now our asteroid belt. So when you understand the real history of Earth, but also when they created those colonies, other star nations came and joined in on it. So, and brought their plant and animal life as well as their own, human DNA. And so a lot of us have DNA, from the stars, more DNA than humans. Some people are more human. There was an Earthman that was developing here naturally. And there's some people that have been manipulated. They've had their DNA upgraded, through various means.
That's incredible. How do we do this? Is the only way that we can move into a higher, I guess, vibration, a higher frequency for this planet? What do we need to start doing? In my opinion, I think it's the borders. And actually, when I do the show, and I started, James, I say, voices for verity. I forgot to do that tonight, but I say voices for verity in this crazy realm of polarity. I find that polarity is like the biggest enemy of our consciousness right now, and we just get sucked into it so much.
Yeah, there's a big difference between, you have to have positive and negative for creation. Basically, you got to have those two elements. But negative isn't negative as a bad. It's a frequency, or it's like a force, you might say. And it's necessary for creation. And a lot of people attach evil to negativity. It's different. It's a different setting, you might say. So like the feminine side is more negative. It's in charge. It's more of a negative charge. The masculine is positive charge. And if we're balanced in ourselves, we're perfectly balanced with our feminine and our masculine. And but you've got your own genetics, that are going to kind of push you in one direction a little more so than the other. But there's a lot more to that. You can get really technical if you want, but, I'm saying again, balance is the key, and get out of one polarity or the other, balance and in everything. And, I just see there's so much judgment out there, and people, they don't do any research. They don't do the research, and they have opinions, and then you ask them, where did you get your opinion? And they say, well, I saw it on the news. And I just said, your whole life, you plop yourself in front of the TV every day, and they tell you what to think. How much critical thinking have you applied to that, and how much real research have you done, like hands-on? Talk to the people that have the hands-on stuff going on, and find out what's really happening. And you'll find out usually it's in many cases it's totally opposite what you're being told, through the lamestream news and other sources.
Speaking of that, David J. in the Spreaker chat is saying, James, where do you get your information about the star lineages and stuff? I would think it was from your internal experiences, right?
Definitely, yeah. And I tell you what I do is I have my own internal experiences, and I've met a lot of these beings and had connections with them, and then my whole past life stuff has been revealed to me as well. So I've had off-world, lives in other dimensions and other civilizations and things of that nature. But when I get information, I go and I research it. And if you can find it, you can find information. You have to sift through a lot of garbage to get it. But, a good example of these line beings, these feline beings started appearing to me. And, I thought, okay, that was interesting. My imagination is running amok here. I'm going to shut it down and go plant some trees. But then I realized it kept happening. They kept coming, and I felt this extreme bliss coming from them. They're fifth, sixth, and seventh dimensional beings, and so I said, well, I'm going to look into it, and I studied with lamas and yogis, and I talked to some of the lamas, and some of the lamas didn't know anything about it because they're more of a religion. They're in that program. And some of the lamas did. The older lamas, got really excited. And when I showed them the pictures, they got really excited about it. They knew who they were. And the yogis also know about it because it's in their ancient teachings. They talk about how the villages used to pray to Narsringa, and those are the feline beings. And when the bandits would come to the village, they would pray to Narsringa, and all of a sudden the bandits would be knocked off their horses and their clothes would be all shredded, and they'd run off, because these beings would step in, and you wouldn't see them because they're in another dimension. They're just out of our frequency, but they can step into ours if they want. So you read all these ancient stories about it, and if you have the right connections, you keep asking questions, you'll find, it's in a lot of the ancient texts.
It's so synchronistic that you talk about that. Believe it or not, Saturday night, I had the guys on from the Grimerica podcast, which they're well known in the podcast community. And someone called in and told me a story about a feline being that they saw just not too long ago, a few days ago or something. And, it was pretty compelling. He said it kind of scared him a little bit. So I'm just kind of shocked that you're talking about that right now. It's synchronistic again.
Well, some of these beings, the lion beings, are about 17 feet tall, the males, and they're very large. But they're very humorous. They have to be because they are kind of scary, when you first see one. And they're kind of goofy. They goof around with you at first. They get kind of goofy just so you can chill out and not go into fear. But they're very powerful. Yeah, they're very powerful. They're very good for protection and things like that. If you need help, I've seen the lion beings will clear just about anything. There's nothing that really can stand up. They're seventh dimensional beings and they're 17 feet tall. I mean, what's going to stand up against them?
So so that's interesting. So the statues, like you're talking about in Egypt with all the different headed beings and how they made the statues, they even made the pictures relative to the other people where you could see them towering above folks, and everyone always said, well, that's just symbolism. Well, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, right? I mean, maybe these beings were real.
Well, if you look at the Sekhmet statue over there in Egypt, I think she's about 14 feet tall. She's very tall. But she has this endearing smile on her face, very loving, very endearing smile. And, everybody keeps asking the question, you're putting this lion being to guard the temple, and why aren't they ferocious? Why aren't they there to scare, anybody that shouldn't be coming there, and because that's not their nature, basically. That's why they look very endearing, very loving.
Right. Yvonne from the chat room says, James, do Lemurians have alien lineage? I was told that they were humans.
Yeah, the Lemurians are basically part of the Pleiadian colonies.
And this is one of those things where you got to dig in and research. There's a lot there.
But most of us are plated. We have a lot of Pleiadian genetics in us. So it's like, especially if you have light skin, you're definitely from, the Lemurians are your ancestors.
What is it about that side of the country, James, that everybody there's so many experiences over there, from the desert to Shasta to, it's just, I don't know if it's a perception thing, because like I said, we got so many trees where I'm from, but then again, you guys got trees too. There's something over there. I don't know if it's this energetic grid thing I've heard people talk about, or what's your opinion on that?
Are you talking about here at the ranch? Or?
Yeah, just what they're at the ranch, and then,
Yeah.
in my opinion, just, I guess from my perception, it's crickets over here. But over there, there's just so much stuff going on in the west side of this country.
Yeah, well, here at the ranch here, there's two ley lines that intersect, and that usually, creates a major vortex, situation going on. And that's part of it. And we have a Stargate like right above us. And then we have the entrance to the inner Earth on Mount Adams, which I'm actually looking at right now. And it's a massive mountain. It looks much like Shasta, but it's basically my front yard. So, we watch the doors open on the mountain and things come in and out on a regular basis. And we see, the ships popping in overhead and powering up and doing all kinds of things and interacting with the people on the ground. And we have a lot of other activity here. We have the nature kingdom. You can see a lot of those spirits cruising around, and people get photographs on a regular basis. And, we're talking about Clyde Lewis. He had a Bigfoot encounter here, and it really shook him up.
Really?
In the beginning, yeah, he shook him, but he actually came to terms with it when I showed him, and when I took photographs of the footprints and everything else. He didn't want to go public because he said nobody would believe him.
Yeah.
But there's another guy, Peter O'Toole's son, Lorcan O'Toole, was here, and he had a Bigfoot encounter, and there's two other people involved that saw it. But, they pop in and out, and they hang out here, and we've never had any problem with them. And, they come down and get apples now and then, and, we have no problem sharing with them.
Are they interdimensional? Like a lot of people say, like they can travel in and out of this dimension, you think?
Oh, yeah, I've seen them do it. I've seen them just phase out. They'll be walking across the field and just disappear.
That's incredible. I've never had, like I was telling you, my son and I, we thought, and I want to ask you this, maybe it's an energetic thing, because I complain so much about not seeing UFOs or not having these experiences, and just so happens James Gilliland's about to come on my show, and I've been watching his YouTube channels full of all of these, and my son and I, Corbin, was out the other night just staring at the sky, and I caught this thing just flaring up, and I said, well, that might be a satellite, because they reflect.
Yeah.
But then it really pulsed, and I was like, do it again, and it pulsed, and I went back and ran into the studio and looked at your video again, and I called my son, and he ran out there, and he's like, I don't see anything, Dad. And then all of a sudden I heard him go, whoa, Dad, come here. And he just started chasing it across the yard. And I was thinking, I think we just saw our first UFO. Now, why did that happen? Is it because I'm thinking about the ranch? Is it because it's on my mind? It just seems like it's just a little too synchronistic,
Yeah, it's, the bottom line is, you magnetize people and events according to your consciousness. And there's a lot of people that say, I'll believe it when I see it, it's actually inaccurate, because your brain chooses what you see. We have billions of bits of information coming through our eyes, and our brain chooses out of that what it wants to, record or allow us to perceive. So it's better to, just talking about it and looking into it and putting your focus on that, you create that reality, you open that window for things to happen.
Do you think that, so you think this is a consciousness thing? I've always wondered that, like orbs. Not everybody sees them, but then when you you guys got some still shots of millions of orbs. And
oh, yeah.
I want to ask you this question. It's going to sound dumb to the entire community, but I don't care, because I want to know, what is an orb? What are these things?
Well, they're just beings without bodies. They're higher dimensional beings that are cruising around, and some are nature spirits. They're all different. Now we've blown up some of these orbs, and some you see like these bearded masters like Merlin and things like that, and the big gold ones, and the blue ones you'll see like a lot of times feminine beings in the blue ones, and so we've seen beings with pointy ears like elven beings, in these orbs as well. So they're beings without bodies. They just don't have a physical body. They're cruising around. They're harmless. They're not going to bother anybody. And they will come to you if you're conscious, and if you're putting that intention out. We had a lady here that used to come here, and everybody thought she was kind of crazy because she had a Yoda doll and she was blowing bubbles and talking to the orbs and everything else. And so I got an infrared spotlight and I lit it up while she was doing it. And filmed it, and it's just wall-to-wall orbs surrounding her and circling around her and playing with her, and they have consciousness to them, and you can feel them if you're interacting with them. They're making her laugh and giggle and everything else, and I told people, you think she's crazy, but she's not. I said, watch this, and I lit it up, and it was kind of funny, but.
Yeah, that one still shot you got, I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about. I've seen some shots, right, with orbs in it, but this one, it filled the entire, there's no doubt about it. You can't call that swamp gas or lightning or ball lightning. This stuff was everywhere, different colors all over the place. It was just incredible. Yeah, we've shot some here. We have a pyramid here that we use for doing healing work and massage and things like that. And we've had orbs over that pyramid, and you can see it's actually a little bit behind the pyramid, and they're like 30 feet wide. That's not dust, not when you have something that big. I like I was telling you during break, I want to make it out to the ranch, and we're about to take the last break of the show. How many lives do you think have changed that have went through that place? If you could just give me a ballpark figure, you think?
Oh, tens of thousands. We were trying to figure that out, the other day. And if you do the math, and, sometimes on a weekend we'll have 60 people out here sometime on a weekend. And then at the events, we'll have 300-400 people at some of the bigger events. And we're figuring out, over 30 years, doing this. I mean, it hasn't always been this busy in the beginning. There was not much happening here, but we started doing the math, and, it goes into tens of thousands. So it's a lot of people.
Yeah, I know that you guys got some events coming up. I think Jimmy Church is doing, I think it's called Soul Tech there, and that's going to be a big one. And, there's so many of the people that I look up to in this community or colleagues of mine. There's no doubt about it. And I just want you to know that I find incredible comfort in that. At the very least, that ranch is there, to validate all of the stuff that we talk about. It's how can anybody doubt it at this point? Sometimes I wonder,
Yeah. Well, there are other people that would love to see this place shut down, and they were trying to do it. They're not really bothering me now, but, I had to go to court 10 different times and everything. They did all they could to shut this place down. But we kept just, I had to become my own attorney and crash course in law, basically.
Oh, that's impressive. So you became your own attorney and won, huh? I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, you just have to stay with it and stick at it. I challenged the courts and I challenged the judges and ended up in handcuffs one time in a little room, where it was pretty ridiculous, but they had no grounds on what they're doing. They had nothing at all. They were just trying to shut us down, basically. And they had a meeting, and I said, well, I've got several questions. And I said, one, are you saying that I don't have a right to assembly? I don't have a freedom of speech? I just went through all these things that they were saying I didn't have that right to do. And they actually said yes. And, we got it on tape, so
They said you don't have your rights on tape. That was stupid of them.
Yeah, I said, I said, I'm a minister, and I can't practice my beliefs, and I can't, gather with friends and family, and things like that, and they said yes.
Wow.
And I said, well, I don't know who you guys are, but I said, this is America.
You got that right. We're going to take our last break here. You guys, I see some more of your questions in there. I will ask, I promise. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with James Gilliland.
Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Mark Eddy. If Pluto is your high school history teacher, Project Compass will point you in the direction of the truth.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Irma, forget it, he's rolling.
Each Monday night from 10 to midnight Eastern, we will bring enthralling guests to delve into the hidden history you weren't taught.
This could be the greatest night of our lives.
Join us on the Fringe.fm or in the Spreaker chat.
Oh, we're afraid to go with you, Pluto. We might get in trouble.
Follow us on Twitter at Project Compass or email us at projectcompass.show@gmail.com.
I think this situation absolutely requires really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it.
Class is in session with Project Compass right here on the Fringe FM.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Oh, you know what I like about me? This is Rich Giordano, host of the Paranormal Code. No, I'm serious. The show's on twice a week now, Sunday and Thursday, on the Fringe.fm and Spreaker, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Yeah, it's 2 hours. It's live. And I do a show like you've never heard before. So you're going to come here, you're going to get your information, you're going to be entertained. But you're also going to hear the truth like, you won't forget. Like you've never heard before. And for those of you who've been following, thank you. Thank you for talking me into this extra night. Now I'm on twice. Great. Hey, good for you, right? The Paranormal Code. This means something.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Hi, this is Ryan Gable, host of the Secret Teachings radio show. If you are interested in ancient knowledge and hidden mysteries, as well as a unique and balanced perspective on conspiracies, symbols, and the occult, then join me every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We are in the last quarter of the show here, so if you want to get your questions in, I keep forgetting to talk about the call-in number, but it's 501-777-5631. We're here with James Gilliland, ECETI founder, author, minister, visionary, and before the break he was talking about how, you know, he'd been attacked a few times. People have, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, are trying to shut him up, I guess, and he, you know, fought the system, fought the man, and you know, there's a couple of questions in the chat room, James, about like why would they want to shut the ranch down? And I think maybe some of that's obvious, but if you want to talk about that, that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, you know, it just goes against the whole. You know, there's a major religious program going on here, and you know, a lot of the people that sit on these boards and things like that, and you know, would basically wanted me to go away. And there's other reasons as well. And there was a certain person, I don't want to talk about it right now, but put it this way, I have Microsoft in my backyard, and so they were trying to buy the property, and I wouldn't sell it. And so, I mean, there's been everything going on from here, from black helicopters to, you know, black F-15s buzzing the property on a regular basis. And we just had one a couple days ago. 2 helicopters and 2 F-18s came over and kept circling the place. But, you know, it's just about everything from being shot at to brake lines being cut to lug nuts being taken off, which is their favorite. That's their warning. You know, but I just kept going forward. I knew that my best safety, you know, or protection was going more public, you know, and so I just kept going more public, and I've already died a couple times, so I've had a couple near-death experiences. Right. So it's like, you know, death has kind of lost its sting on that one. So that didn't work. But, you know, I think people have a right to know, and, you know, it's time for us to, you know, to get out of our little boxes and join the rest of the universe in peace. And, you know, they have the technology to totally clean this planet up. They have the free energy, you know, they've got replicators, they've got healing technology beyond our wildest dreams, and you know, anti-gravity, counter-gravity, everything. And, you know, the elite have a lot of that as well. They have a lot of that technology, but it's time to bring it out to the people and clean this planet up, and, you know, everybody start working together.
You know, we used to die, you know, like I would say the Revolutionary War, even the Civil War. I think we're different now, and I think we need to get back. I don't want to say, hey, we all need to go out and run out and die, right? But there were certain things that, as a race, that we were afraid of more than death, you know? Uh-huh. And I think that we got to get back to that. Because we've been really, you're right. I mean, they've boxed us in with social media, TV, our devices. We are very, very comfortable and spoiled in a lot of ways. And if something was to break out where we had to stand up for ourselves, I don't really know that we could do it now, you know?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I just was sent a video, and it's pretty intense, but it was about these 2 LA cops, and you know, they got into a major car chase, you know, and it ended up with a shootout at the end, and it was all on film. And you know, they chased these guys all over, and they finally tapped them, and they spun around and crashed. And they came out just guns blazing and shot out all the windows of the cops and everything. And they responded, you know, and took the 2 guys out. And then I see on the news, you know, these were 2 students just, you know, they were gunned down mercifully. I don't know. It was just,
It was terrible, yeah.
Yeah, the whole story behind it was, and I don't know what they did before that or why they're being chased or anything. I don't know the full story. I'm sure there's more to the story, but from what I saw from the cameras, that they had in the police car, it was, it was pretty cut and dried, and I see this all the time, and it's sad, because, I think blue lives matter, and, even green lives matter, and a few other lives matter. We got to stop all this division game going on.
Right. More polarity. That's all that is.
Yeah. And, it's like, but I see too that all these things are being sponsored by the global elite, and people don't even know it, like Antifa and things like that. They say they're anti-fascist, but, and they're anti-Nazi, but, they're actually being funded by a Nazi and a fascist, so it's like, and they act like fascists, so it's such a paradox, and it's sad because they've been so brainwashed they just can't stop for a minute and look at what they're doing. I said, well, I have a right to free speech, and why are they trespassing on my right to free speech, and people can discern whether or not they want to listen to somebody, it's called the off switch, it's very easy. Whenever CNN pops up, I just change, right away the computer, I shut it off. Yeah. I don't even listen to them anymore because all they do is spew lies, basically.
Yeah, I get listeners like that. I don't want to. I'm done listening. This guy's a shield. That guy's a shield. I'm like, why do you keep listening? Yeah. If you really don't listen anymore, why do I keep seeing your comments about all these shills? That you think are shields. Right?
Those are probably shills making the comment. More than likely.
Yeah.
But people say that. I tell people, look, I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I'm not political. I don't vote. There's a reason for that. It's a technical reason, and it goes on. And I just said, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I really search for truth, and I look at what most aligns with the universal law, and whatever person or group or whatever is adhering to universal law, and they're trying to create heaven on earth, and they're focused on, universal peace and brother sisterly love and individual freedom and prosperity for everybody, the basics. I'm going to go with that. I don't care what color you are or what culture you are or what religion you are. It doesn't matter if you're, moving in the right direction. But and that's what I look at. But it's sad that people have lost that critical thinking. They've lost, and they get caught up in their emotions, and they're actually manipulated through their emotions. It's like, this is going to sound very PC incorrect and very unspiritual, but I mean everybody had the pink hats, how come the men didn't get their hats?
Right.
And put their genitalia on them, and start that movement, So I mean, it's just
I get
ridiculous.
What you're saying. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's so ridiculous. The whole thing. It's still separation. It's still, and it's. I don't know. I'm just a very simple person. I just like the simplicity. I don't care. What you're into. Basically, if you're not harming somebody else and you're not, forcing your ideas down somebody else, then fine, whatever, if you're not destroying the planet, great, but anyway, there's so much craziness going around, and, I have these friends right now that, and they're younger guys, and they're going, I'm embarrassed. I feel embarrassed now being a white male and having the white male,
that's terrible.
Yeah. And I said, well, basically I said, this is so ridiculous. If let's say you are a white privileged male, what are you doing right now? You're working towards the awakening and healing of humanity and the earth. You're in service mode. You're trying to help as many people as possible. How can that be wrong? It doesn't make. How can somebody judge you because you're white and you're a male? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, it's the media. No one's coming out. What I think it is no one comes out and says, you should be ashamed of yourself because you're this color or this gender. but they do all this other stuff, and it's like this psychological thing, kind of like a bad girlfriend would do, you know, or somebody that just eventually you start feeling bad about yourself, and you're like, why the hell am I feeling bad? What did I do? You know?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and all of a sudden all these guys are looking at themselves going, you know, what the heck? You know, why am I falling for this separation game that they're pushing again? And everything that they're doing has, you know, a separation game or a distraction. Like everything they're accusing the others, especially with the left wing. I hate to say it, but, you know, I've never seen the finger pointing with three fingers pointing back. Like everything they accuse the other guys of doing, they're doing, you know, 10 times more.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, you know, and so I'm just looking at things as an observer, not taking sides. But, you know, like Russian collusion, right. It's like the Democrats in the last administration. There's so much Russian collusion there. It's off the scale.
Yeah.
And a huge money trail. You know, 150 million, 145, million dollars. Like, I mean, it's huge.
Liars, liars pointing at other people, calling them liars. It's kind of perplexing sometimes.
Yeah. And you watch this and you go, this is pure insanity. And then people are actually believing it, and they're out marching and holding up signs. And if they knew the nature of the person that they are trying to defend and trying to support, if they really had any discernment whatsoever, any spiritual discernment and inner sensitivity, they would take one look at that person and go, oh my God, you know, this person has some really dark forces coming through them. And when you do have that discernment level, the lies don't work anymore. You know, they can have that, you know, like Obama was one of the most charismatic people on the planet, you know, but not too much of what he said was true. And he was out for himself, and his, you know.
He's a damn good storyteller though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very good, very charismatic. So if you're not spiritually awake, you can hear the stuff, but you're going to look behind it. You're going to look behind what they're saying, and you're going to feel like something's not right here.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that bothers me, James. I didn't mean to step on you there, but I wanted to talk about it because you've talked about it. And, you know, I do feel like that the sacred feminine was something more important a long time ago when we were, I guess, more spiritually enlightened. At some point, the patriarchy and priesthood took over and really screwed us all up. And there's a movement for feminism, like to come back and get this energy back. But when you go out and you look at how they're doing it, it's like they're not being very feminine about it. They're raising war, you know, like they want to hurt somebody, you know.
They're trying to be a man. They're becoming the same thing they're against. And that's the sad part about it. And you know, there is a long history of abuse, but you know, it's I agree with that, and that needs to be healed and things of that nature. But you know where the real power is that divine love and that nurturing, the feminine nurturing is the most powerful thing. It's the most sought after thing on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, why do men go out and buy the fancy houses and the fancy cars and all of that stuff? Why do they do that? To trap a woman, basically.
That's right.
So who's in control? I mean, who's
exactly
who's really in control? You know, and you know, I like the Chinese saying, you know, happy wife, happy house. You know, happy. They have sayings like that, and by nature, actually, women are more sensitive. They're more subjective to spirit than men, and because you know God is a feeling, and they're more in touch with their emotional body. And they should be receiving the guidance, and the men help them carry it out. They help them make it happen. And you know, the emotional body is fires. You know, even the women's brain, they've proven it. It can process more data faster, and it's more expanded and everything else. That's you know, neuroscience. But you know, you really think of it. Why do we still worship the intellect, and why is the intellect in charge? I mean, look what it's done to the planet.
Exactly. Yeah. You look at that Temperance tarot card too, if you've ever really looked at it, how I think it's Temperance, how the angel or spirit's above the man and the woman, and the man has just got his eyes fixed on the woman on the card. But the woman is looking straight up, communicating with the angel, and she doesn't even care what the man's looking at, you know?
Yeah. exactly. And we have it backwards basically. And in the Pleiades, it's more balanced, it's more matriarchal, and they honor that. They honor the divine feminine, and that is coming back big time, the divine feminine. But I think we need to not get caught up in women that are not healed, that have a lot of anger towards men and things like that, and we start marching with these women, and we don't really look at their soul quality and the lack of love in their own lives and how their own lives are a wreck. It's like, I always say, if you really want to turn this country around, get a council of grandmothers.
Exactly.
Have them make the decisions. They're wise, they've been around, they love their families, they wouldn't send their families or their husbands off to war or their kids. They love the planet. Most of them do. They love nature, and we need to get back to something of that nature, or even some balanced men, to get in there, and but unfortunately, whenever you create a position of power and you put it outside of self, there's always those that'll move into it and eventually abuse that power and use it against you.
Yeah, I could speak on this personally because my sister was one of the leaders of the feminine movement in this country. She graduated from the University of North Carolina and was real big. I mean, if you said anything that even remotely, came across as patriarchy, she's ready to fight. And I'm not talking about talk or hug or I'm talking about you're in a fight. Yeah. And I never understood that. I was like, this can't be the way to fix this thing,
Yeah, the ultimate power in the universe is love. So why diminish it? Why, it doesn't make any sense. But, why create? Does it make you happy to create all this division and anger and separation? No, not in the long run, no, it doesn't. So, I don't know what people are working out. Usually it's they're working out their own abuse patterns, or they're working out even past life abuse patterns and things like that, and they're trying to get their power back. But if they'd stop and take a deep breath, they'd realize they never lost their power. They're just under the illusion of losing their power, and a lot of times they're fighting fictitious demons, that don't even exist anymore. And they're just their own projections, that are manifesting, but, I'm not saying there aren't still problems of, there's still, programs that dehumanize women and don't respect women and things like that. And those should be looked at and healed. And, especially in some of the Muslim countries, and not to bash Muslims, but, some of those countries, a dog has more rights and more respect than a woman. It's
right.
Like,
yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, and they have to walk behind the man and everything else. I think that's atrocious, basically. But it's works out great for the men, I guess. But it's not so good for the women. But that's got to come to an end. We have to.
We're focusing on a lot of the wrong things that we need to be fixing stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, exactly, and. It's sad because I see a lot of young women, and they're beautiful women and everything, but they're so filled with hate, and you go, oh my God, and my younger days when I used to just love to push those buttons, and I do it on purpose. The people that had that big red button, I would just go and push it, and I'd start acting like a redneck or something.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I just have fun with it. I would have fun with it, and my brothers had a couple girlfriends that were that way, and oh God, I used to have so much fun with them. And one was a black belt, and she'd be swinging at me and chasing me across the room. It was pretty funny. I'd duck a couple, and block a couple, and then I had to run, get out and get out of there. But
well, you guys want to hear something really special, and I don't know when you're going to have it back up, and I hope you do put it back up, but. That interview, I don't know, was it your first interview with Art Bell you did? You had it on your website, and it was really, really good.
Yeah, we'll get it back up. But, when we did the intention experiment, that was an incredible success. There were so many sightings and so many ships appeared, and that they said for 2 or 3 weeks, all their lines were jammed and their emails and everything. But again, And then the first interview, one of the interviews I had, I brought on a triple PhD Boeing engineer and a Lockheed Skunk Works engineer. And, they testified and they said, these aren't ours. We don't know what they are, who they are. So, we've brought on Air Force base commanders have come on. It's the witness log, pilots, air traffic controllers, everybody have come up here and they've seen these ships and they said, these aren't ours. We don't know who they are.
You think that would be enough to silence the skeptics, but it's not. I don't think you can silence some of them.
No, you have the armchair investigators that they have an opinion. They've done no research. They won't come out. There's a lot of people in the UFO field that won't come out and they won't see what's going on here. And they have their opinions and they're stuck in that. And that's okay. Eventually they'll figure it out. But I have people throwing all kinds of darts and stuff, at me. It's unbelievable. But, some of them, when they get really nasty, I just say, well, thank you for establishing your character and your ignorance. Have a nice day. And I just move on. I just move on with it. I don't give it any energy. I'm not here to argue with people. If people want to learn some things, and I'm just here to share some things if they want to. Right. If they want to experience that, but I'm not really here to prove anything or argue with anybody.
Well, I think more people ought to be like that. And my dad used to tell me, if you don't stand for something, everybody likes you, and you don't stand for anything, then that's terrible. But if you got people that are poking at you, then you might be actually doing something in this world, Oh, yeah. You're over the target if you got, flack, coming at you. But that's how I figure. How do people like me that want to experience this, the ECETI Ranch, how do they go about it? What do they got to do?
The best way to go is just go to ECETIevents.com or ECETI.org, and you can see all the information there. Or you can go to ECETI Stargate, the official channel, and see a lot of the footage there. Our website's totally under construction right now. We're putting it together. I'm actually going to be in Contact in the Desert here in June, the 1st of June, and that's a huge event. Just Google Contact in the Desert, and that's one of the biggest UFO events on the planet, basically, and thousands of people come to that. So that's a good one if you want to come out and get to hear a lot of different speakers. We have our big conference, we used to call it the Science, Spirit, and World Healing Conference, but I'm not sure what we're calling it this year. I think it's just the ECETI conference, but July 4th weekend we have that. And then we have John Vivanco, who remote viewed the mountain and saw the ships, and he's very good. He's going to be doing a workshop, I think on the 17th, and I think the 24th I'll be doing a self-mastery workshop where we're going to teach a lot of the tools and techniques to, heal unseen negative influences and work with the higher dimensional beings.
And your radio show, are you doing another one this Saturday?
Yeah, As You Wish on the BBS network. If you just go to bbsradio.com, it'll pop up, and it's every Saturday night at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
That's really cool. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really awesome to have you on the show,
Great.
James.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. You guys, ECETI.org, check that out, and go to Contact in the Desert and visit them and check out a show. Thank you so much for coming on Lighting the Void, James. I really appreciated this conversation.
Great.